Abandoned Lexus LX470 for 10 years. You won't believe this insane restoration. Imagine this, a luxury SUV, sitting abandoned for over 10 years, covered in dust, weathered by the elements, and left to rot in a forgotten corner. Now, think about the possibility of bringing it back to life. That's exactly what happened with this Lexus LX470. In today's video, we're diving into one of the most jaw-dropping car restorations you've ever seen. We're talking about an abandoned Lexus LX470 that had been left to waste away for over a decade, only to be brought back to life in an insane transformation. You won't believe the condition it was in, or the effort it took to restore it. Stick around, because the journey from rust bucket to luxury SUV perfection is going to shock you. Let's start with the backstory. This Lexus LX470, one of the most reliable luxury SUVs ever built, was abandoned after just a few years of use. How does that happen? Well, the owner had big plans. Unfortunately, those plans didn't include taking care of this vehicle. After being parked for a decade, it was left in the elements, slowly being consumed by time. The tires? Deflated. The paint? Faded and peeling. The interior? A mess of dust, mildew, and grime. It wasn't just a project. It was a massive undertaking. But one thing was clear. The Lexus LX470 is an absolute beast of a vehicle. Despite the wear and tear, this was a luxury SUV with serious potential. The first thing that needed to happen was a full assessment of the vehicle's condition. When you're working with a car that's been abandoned for years, the biggest challenge is not knowing what's going to work and what's completely gone. The restoration team had to get down to the details. Everything from engine compression to suspension checks, fuel system cleanup, and of course, a full interior strip down. The team started by pulling the carburetor and inspecting the engine. It was covered in dirt and grime, but surprisingly, it wasn't frozen. After years of neglect, there was still life in the engine, and with a thorough oil change, it was ready to run. But here's the kicker. The fuel tank was beyond repair. Over a decade of stagnant fuel had corroded it, and the team needed to replace it completely. The fuel lines? Also completely clogged. It wasn't just a matter of cleaning it up. This vehicle was a time capsule of neglect. Moving on to the exterior, this LX470 had more than just cosmetic issues. The body was full of rust spots, scratches, and dents. The first thing the team did was take care of the rust, carefully sanding down the panels, treating the undercarriage, and making sure everything was solid before repainting. Then the paint job. Oh, the paint job. After so many years of sun exposure, the original color was barely visible, so they gave a fresh new coat in the original Lexus color scheme. After hours of sanding, priming, and spraying, the SUV began to look like its former self again, but with a modern shine. While the paint was drying, they moved on to the chrome accents. The bumpers, door handles, and grille had all seen better days. These pieces were completely stripped and re-chromed, giving the car a polished look that contrasted beautifully with the deep blue. The wheels were another story. The original tires were long gone, but after sourcing a new set of OEM tires, the LX470 looked like it was ready to hit the streets once again. The team finished off with a new set of headlights, because those old yellowed ones? Totally useless. Now, let's talk about the interior. When a car sits for 10 years without anyone touching it, the interior can become a breeding ground for mold, mildew, and decay. The seats in this LX470 were shot, completely worn out, with rips and stains from sitting in the sun for years. The restoration team started by removing all the old upholstery. They ripped out the seats, the carpets, and even the headliner, which had completely deteriorated. After cleaning up the old parts, they went to work reupholstering the seats with high-quality leather, just like the original. The dashboard was still in decent condition, but the center console and steering wheel needed a lot of love. They were stripped, cleaned, and re-dyed to restore the premium feel the LX470 was known for. The team also replaced any cracked or worn-out buttons and dials. As for the infotainment system, it was outdated and useless after all those years. So, the team installed a modern system that still kept the Lexus aesthetic but offered Bluetooth, Apple CarPlay, and the works. With the exterior and interior looking great, it was time to move on to the heart of the vehicle, the engine. They pulled the engine out of the bay, disassembled it piece by piece, and checked for signs of wear. Thankfully, this Lexus had been built with a high-quality engine, and after replacing the timing belt, water pump, and performing a complete engine overhaul, it was ready to roar. The team also replaced all the fluids, from transmission fluid to brake fluid, to ensure that the vehicle could perform at its best. They also fixed the suspension, replacing old shock absorbers and suspension bushings that had dried out and cracked over time. The whole process took weeks of work. With the restoration nearing completion, it was time for the final touches. The vehicle was reassembled, and a few minor repairs were done to the brakes, exhaust, and air conditioning system. After all the heavy lifting, the team wanted to make sure everything functioned as it should. Then came the road test. They couldn't just restore this car and leave it in the garage. No, they had to see how it performed. The team took it on a long test drive, ensuring the brakes, suspension, and engine were in top shape. And guess what? The LX470 handled like a dream. The engine purred, the ride was smooth, and the handling felt solid. The final moment arrived. The reveal. The car had gone from a rusting shell to a luxury SUV once again. The team gave it one last polish, cleaned the tires, and made sure every light, button, and feature worked perfectly. They pulled into the showroom, and there it was, the 2025 Lexus LX470 that had been brought back to life. It looked like it had just rolled off the showroom floor, but with the character of a well-loved classic. This restoration wasn't just about fixing a car. It was about reviving a legacy. The Lexus LX470 has always been known for its reliability, and by bringing this abandoned vehicle back to life, the team proved that with the right care, a car like this could last forever. The entire process, from the initial assessment to the final test drive, was a massive success. Not only did the team restore this car to its original glory, but they also added a few modern upgrades to ensure it remains reliable for the next decade. So, what do you think? Would you have taken on the challenge of restoring an abandoned Lexus LX470? Or would you have walked away and let it go? Let me know in the comments. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you never miss a new restoration story, car review, or DIY fix. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.